What's up, everybody? Welcome to the short stream, the Thursday stream, pre Dark Phoenix stream. I know how many people are excited for that movie, and it's not a lot. Not a lot of people are excited about Dark Phoenix. I just wrote the Instagram post for the post, so it's like, hey, I'm live, come check it out. And I hashtagged Dark Phoenix. It was like there's only like 18,000 posts. I'm like, that's really bad. That's very bad. But before I go see Dark Phoenix, I figured I'd play some Halo and tell you all about Volume Music Festival. Volume Music Festival is something that I can't remember exactly how long it's been around. It's been several years now. And this year's event, which always takes place in downtown Spokane, took place at 11 different venues across downtown, and it featured 100 different bands. And last year I went and I had a great time. I got a little drunk because I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. I went downtown. This is last year. I went downtown, and I just started going for it. I showed up at the first venue, which was the Big Dipper. And I immediately was like, you know what, I'll take one pineapple rum, please. And then I went and did my thing, and then I went to a different band, and I shot that guy in the face. And then I worked my way to another location called the Observatory, which no longer exists, rip in peace. And then I had a couple more beers, and then realized that I hadn't eaten anything or drank any water the entire time I'd been down there, so it was starting to get it was a little dicey, if we're being honest. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll go to this little convenience store that's around the corner. I know I can get some water there. That'll kind of taper that off, and I'll walk over to this pizza place, and I'll get something in my stomach. It'll, hopefully this will help absorb the alcohol, and it won't be too bad, because I was downtown by myself, so it's like, I probably should have been a little more careful about that. But I don't know. I have this weird habit of either not doing stuff at all, or just going hard, just 10. Starting at the top, just diving in deep. And so I get the water. I'm like, cool, this will help. Walk over to the pizza place. I get a little slice of pizza. And normally, because I'm downtown pretty frequently, when I'm downtown, I'm like, okay, I gotta keep moving. I gotta keep going. I'm moving. I have a list of things I'm doing in my head. I'm here. I'm gonna stop at this store. I'm gonna move on to the next thing. I'm gonna do this. And somewhat impaired me didn't do the math that I needed to make sure that I sat down and ate this pizza. So I start walking. I'm like, okay, I'll be fine. I'll start walking, and I'll work my way to the next venue. And I got about halfway. It was only a 2-block walk, maybe a smidge longer, of a quarter of a block or whatever it was. But I got about a block or halfway to the venue I was going to, and I was like, "Ooh boy, I'm in trouble." But at this point, because I'm halfway between where I was and where I'm trying to get to, I'm kind of in this weird no man's land where I have to walk a block back anyway, but I also have to walk a block to finish it. So I'm like, you know what I'll do? I'll just stand here on this street corner, and I'll just eat my pizza. It'll be fine. And so I go and I hold the pizza in my right hand, and I hold the plate in my left hand, which has the ranch on it. And for some reason, the proportion of the amount of ranch they give you is not equal to the amount of pizza. It is way too much ranch for one slice of pizza. And so I'm standing there and I'm eating it, and I'm doing whatever, and then all of a sudden my left hand is a little bit lighter, and I look down, and there's ranch all over the ground. And as I'm trying to process what's going on in my head, I hear this woman who's walking down the sidewalk go, "Yeah, fuck that ranch. You don't need that ranch." I was like, "Yeah, I don't need that ranch." And so I somewhat drunkenly try and pick up my mess the best I can. And then I make, because I've been Instagram storying the whole thing. I picked up everything, threw it away, and then in the air with my hand was trying to spell Ranch-orino, because I was trying to make a post that said Ripperino the Ranch Dreamerino, or the Ranchio Dreamerino, or something like that. And I'm trying to spell this word, and I just am standing in the middle of the road, like writing it out in the air. I felt like just an idiot. And then I took like 3 more pictures of it. The weird thing about looking at the Instagram story, because you can still do that over on Instagram.com/OnosaurusRex. The weird thing about that is I don't remember taking some of the pictures. Like I flipped through it and I was like, some of this just didn't recall it. So then I finished out that night, which like was fine. I got home safe and sound. And then the next day I was like, okay, cool. I'll go down there again and I'll make some improvements. So the first thing I did, I made sure I had water with me. The second thing I did, I made sure I put some sort of food inside me. It was a little baby boat, which is a baby boat is a, it's just like a little cardboard tub of chips and cheese. And this is how my brother explains it. He's like, the magic of the baby boat is that they put the chips vertically so that cheese gets everywhere, and you never go anywhere without any cheese, or you never get a chip without any cheese. And I was like, okay, cool. So I had one of those, and then proceeded to drink anyway. Well, I mean, I was going to drink anyway, but I proceeded to drink, and I got drunk. And at the final show, I was very unbalanced, and I basically held on to one of the amps that were sitting in the front, and I like was just holding onto it for dear life. But then I was trying to dance to one of the songs, and I was about a half step left of where I thought I was, and I swung my arm back really hard and elbowed a woman in the stomach, and then like immediately like elbow hit, and I went, oh my god, I'm so fucking sorry. And she's like, oh, you're fine, it's not that big of a deal. And I was like, ah, shit. Like I felt terrible. If for some reason you're watching this stream, I'm sorry. So then that show ended perfectly, and I like caught the last bus out or whatever. And thankfully, I was only the second most drunk person on that bus, because somebody else got on that was far drunker than me. And yeah, it was weird, because I typically like I don't do that, but I did today or that day, and it was odd. So that's your preface story for this year. When I went down and I was like, okay, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to plan the days out. And like, it didn't start out super well because I went down to get tickets. And when I went down to get tickets last year, I guess I went down at a different time, and I just didn't realize it this time. I went to this place and I was like, oh, they'll have tickets. They'll be open. It's, whatever. This guy's invincible. Thank you. Go down to get tickets. The place is locked. And so I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, now I'm walking around. I'm doing all this stuff. It's like really hot outside, which was kind of annoying. And so I was walking around in the sun, and I'm like, god dang it, I'm going to be super sunburned or grumpy. I come home. I like take a shower real quick and then head back down. And so the first band I went and saw was Late for the Parade or something. And they're a very new band. I think they're like in high school, which is like cool that they're at Volume, but their music isn't really for me. Like, they were good, but it wasn't for me. And that's kind of a weird thing, kind of a weird theme for the first night, at least, is like, it's fine, but not for me. Pardon me. And so I watched them a little bit, and I'm like, man, I really should eat something, because I learned from last year of like, you got to put food in your stomach at some point. So because the next place I'm going to, which is the Big Dipper, what the hell? Okay. They don't open till 7. I walk up to Arby's and I get like a little beef and cheddar, I get the meal for some reason, because I was going to get a sandwich, I guess because I was going to get a sandwich and fries. I'm glad that I explained that to myself, because I was like, I don't know why I did this, but I did. Come here, you. It's a bold strategy, just running straight up the middle. So I go up there and I start planning out my night, and it looks like I'm going to spend a bunch of my night at the Pin. I'm going to go check out this band at the Big Dipper, and then I'm going to swing down and I'll do. I'll go see a couple of bands down there and just kind of hang out there, and then come back up to the Big Dipper and go home. But I ended up going down. I order my new favorite drink, which is a pineapple rum. And the beauty of the pineapple rum is that pineapple does an incredible job of masking alcohol flavor, which I don't like the flavor or the taste of alcohol. So anything you can do to mask that, like I typically like really, really sugary drinks and like ciders and stuff, just because they don't taste like garbage. So I go and I order my first pineapple rum, and I start to watch the band, and for the second band in a row, it's good but not what I'm feeling. I'm like not in the mood for it. So then, for whatever reason, last week I was in I want to listen to like mid-90s punk rock, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of odd, out of character maybe a little bit. So I see this band that's called DM, and I died. And they are the classification of punk, and I don't really agree with that. Like I think I get it from they don't adhere to the rules sort of mentality. That poor guy. But when I think of punk, I think of like early like Green Day or MXPX or any number of bands. I absolutely just popped out to say hello. And so, there he is. He's down there. There he is. This is embarrassing. So I go down, and they're like a super bizarre mix of almost like a slam poetry lead vocalist with a guy who plays guitar pretty well against like electronic backing. So it's a weird, super weird mishmash. And the more I was gonna be cool and try and get him out of the air. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about this initially. But damn, I lost 14 though. Shout out to that guy that had 1. Big F you to you. Oh, cool. I have my... Oh, that's a different one. Hang on. I have the... Ooh, cool. This will help, because it's going to get a little fuzzy at some point. So as they start, they are... I'm very unsure of what it is, but the more it goes on, the more I like it. The lead singer is charismatic and seems to genuinely care about it. I've seen bands that like think they have some important shit to say and they're just awful. Like I can't remember what it was, but we went and saw one of Wild One's final shows, and the opening act for them was terrible, and it was a weird 2-person band where the guy was like mostly in the audience, and the music wasn't very good, and it seemed kind of like artsy to be artsy, if that makes sense. But this felt like it had some kind of like genuine thought and feeling behind it. And I think that maybe it's just because it's my home city, and I maybe think of Portland and Seattle in the same way of like artists live here and they make art crap. And it's like, yeah, fuck off. Like, who needs that? So it was also like weirdly like emotional, where he was talking about like, you should take care of yourself and you should do self-care. But it was a little weird because he was talking about how like men don't take care of themselves enough and they need to do that more. But he also seemed to insinuate that drinking alcohol was, and I thought it was kind of a weird like juxtaposition of like glorifying alcoholism under the pretense of making it seem like that makes you take care of yourself or something. There was something about it that just rubbed me the wrong way, and I was like, I don't like the way that meshes. But overall, it was pretty good. And I kind of went to them on a whim, where I was like, I don't know, sure, like whatever, like some punk show, fine, whatever. And it wasn't punk, but I mean, You can go by a very loose definition of it, which is fine. I died. That guy watched me do that. He was like, yo, what's up, man? How you doing? So then, there we go. Jeez, a comeback kill already. That guy did not see where the other dude died from. So then, let's see. Hang on. So then it was DM, where's Friday? Hang on, hold on. That was a Berserk. I didn't get a drink there, I realized. What did I do at 7? I don't even remember what I did at 7. Did I go back up to the Big Dipper? Oh, no. Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. I have my times backwards. Big Dipper opened at 7. DM was at 7:30, and I went to go to the Pin, which is a place I'd never been to. I've walked by it a bunch. And apparently, I can't believe I got that double kill. That is absolutely incredible that I got that. I sat here looking at a paper for like 30 seconds and then took about 96 shots at that dude. Where am I? Where am I in my story? Never been to the Pin. It's on this block where it has like PM Jacoys and then... Oh, geez. Hey, what's up, man? What's up, other man? Oh, shit. Don't go popping shots off like that. But I guess it used to be downstairs. It's a thing where you walk in a door and you go upstairs and then the stairs bend to the right and then you go up another flight of stairs and then that's the whole thing. And actually, I like the way it's set up. There's like a big bar area and the floor portion seems pretty nice as far as like where you can watch the music. Hell yeah, environmentalist. Fuck yeah, damn it. And so I went and saw this band called O Rose, and they were very good. I've been listening to their EP a lot lately, and I actually bought a cassette again this year. I don't buy cassettes, but when I do, I buy them at Volume Music Festival. Last year I bought Colette's cassette, and it's very good. And then I guess they released an album, and I listened to that a bunch too. But none of this stuff is on, well, the Colette stuff isn't on Spotify, so... keep having to like listen to it on Bandcamp, and then it's like, would you like to buy this album? And I'm like, well, I already did, but I don't have it downloaded here. It's a whole rigmarole. So O Rose is very good, and I'm gonna stick around and check out the next band, which is called Brackets. So I'm like, oh cool, I'll grab a drink while I'm here, because in my head earlier I had made a rule of like, hey, you have this ticket, it was $35. Sorry, I was trying to make it up. I think I was going to make that jump. Ticket was $35, and I'll buy a drink at every place I go to. I've already broken this rule at this point, but I'll make up for it later. When I went to Berserk and watched DM, and I didn't buy a drink. So I buy a drink that is a specialty drink called the Volume, and it has apple and vodka and a couple of other things, and it has sour in it, which I think is like a flavor or something, because I drank it and it was very sour. I thought that was, oops, I died and that was it. That was it going to 60? What? Did the game break? Oh, okay. That was really weird. God damn it, that's 2 losses in a row. I gotta pick it up. I gotta do better. I gotta play at the top tier. I'm also trying to think about drunken memories, which is harder than I would anticipate. All of this, by the way, is on my Instagram story, so you can check that out if you really want to. So I go over to the bar. The drink is very sour, but at the Pin, you can only have alcohol in like a designated area so they can keep it all ages. And I noticed that they have a pizza place over, not like a pizza place, but like somebody made pizza. They brought it upstairs. They put it in a warmer. There's pizza available. I'm like, man, like pizza would be really good. And so I go over, I finish my drink, I downed it really, really quickly, and I went over there and I bought a slice of pizza, and I sat down. I made sure I was like, I'm not gonna take this anywhere. I'm just gonna walk over to this booth right here, and I'm gonna sit down. They didn't even give me any ranch, so like I'm in the clear there. I do like a couple more like Instagram posts, whatever. Eat the pizza, it's fine. The cool thing is all of it times out to be right about the time the next band is going to start. And so I walk over there, and they have like a cool setup. Like they have like a bunch of lights going on their keyboards, which is interesting, and they change colors, and it's like that's all fun and stuff. But this was another one of those bands where, man, I wasn't feeling it. It was a band that did like kind of like rock music, but it seemed like they wanted to like start quiet and build up and then like drop back down to quiet, but it never felt like the builds were very satisfying, if that makes any sense. Like it hit to a point where you're like, yeah, they're gonna like go for it, and it's gonna be this cool epic moment, and then nothing really happened, and then it just kind of kept doing that, and I was like, nah, I'm good, so I'm gonna head out. So that was at 9. So now we're at 9. I went back up to the Big Dipper, which was supposed to have a band called The Carols. Good Lord, we're already down by 4. Supposed to have a band called The Carols. I killed I Poops McGee. But when I got there, there was a different band there called Wayward West. And so that was kind of a bummer. I bought another pineapple rum. So that's 2 pineapple rums and 1 volume, for those of you keeping count at home. Damn it. And I watched Wayward West, which wasn't a band obviously I was there to see because they weren't on the ticket at all. And they were fine. I wouldn't have picked to go see them even if they were on the bill, because they just like it was very. It feels like it's very like 1970s classic rock. Like their first song was 8 minutes long, and it had like multiple guitar solos and minimal vocal sections, and it seemed like a jam band, where they're like, we're just gonna, we'll just play it, and we'll just whatever happens, that kind of, whatever. But like they were fine. Like I wasn't upset that I had watched them or whatever. Like they were good. So I finished off that drink. I don't think I bought another drink, but I might have, and I just don't remember. And so I finished off the night by watching Fun Ladies, which they were really good. I liked them. They were in fact fun. So, God. This guy is very annoying. What am I doing? I've never really like seen this map played this way, which is super weird. I know this is not volume talk. And Fun Ladies ended perfectly, where they finished their set, and what I noticed this year compared to last year is that every set was 30 minutes. There were typically an hour between start times, so if it was like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 15 after, bottom of the hour, whatever it was. And for the most part, the venues stuck really close to that, which was awesome. It made it feel like it was very much like, I know what I'm getting into. I know that I'm going to be here for 30 minutes. Makes it easier to plan. You don't feel like you're like watching the clock to make sure that, how did that guy already have another killing spree? Good Lord. You don't feel like you're watching the clock because you don't want to miss stuff and whatever. Also, because everything's running on time, you know that things are running smoothly, which was very nice. Last year seemed like it was a little bit more of a dice roll about set lengths and who was going on when and all that sort of stuff. And so I thought that was a very nice improvement. That guy just spawned and got hit. And so Fun Ladies ended, went home, called it good. And the next day I went down to see Rocket Man with my mom. And I went down, we went to Rocket Man, and then we went to Madeline's for lunch. And and I told her about it, and then someone complimented me on the shirt I was wearing. I was wearing a Reptar shirt or whatever, and so somebody complimented me on it, and I go, oh, thank you. Like, most of the time when I'm downtown, like, somebody will be like, oh, like, I like your shirt, or I like your backpack, whatever, and that's the end of the conversation. So she's like, I like your shirt, and she runs back and does whatever because she's at work. And my mom looks at me and she's like, do you know what you want for food? And I was like, no, my Yugo's all full. Like, we're good. Like, I'm fine. I ended up getting some sliders that were pretty good. And so that story is actually going to come in handy here in a minute. Saturday. Oops. That guy's got to be livid. So Saturday is a little bit more planned out because there are two bands that I want to go see. I want to go see, conveniently, the shirt that I'm wearing, the band Bologna, and then Saturday also has Flee the Century, which was the band that I finished off last year with, where I elbowed the woman in the stomach and profusely apologized. So it was a little bit easier to get around. Friday night felt like a little bit more of like, I'm just kind of wandering and we'll see what happens sort of thing. So I think I ended up starting at the Big Dipper again. Hang on. Hold on. Consulting the guide. Somebody's gonna... Oh, no. I went to the Pin first. That's right. I went to the Pin and I tried a new cider from a brand that I've had before but haven't particularly cared for. So it was nice to... Pardon me. It was nice to... No, that's not true. I'm sorry. At the Pin, I had a brand new cider that was very good. I think it was brewed in like Yakima or something like that, which is cool because that's in state. Washington, known for their apples. Apple State or the Evergreen State, whatever. Who cares? It's a state. It has cool stuff. It's weird how the two sides are so different. Like the West Coast and the West Side and the East Side. Doesn't matter. Try a new cider. That's really great. When I got downtown, I was like, you know what sounds really good? A Mountain Dew Game Fuel. So I'm going to chug that really quick before this band starts. Then I'm going to put like 16 ounces of other liquid on top of that. So there was a good chunk of the night where I was a little uncomfortable because I had so much liquid in my stomach. Where I was like, oh boy, I not like drunkenly drank too much, but like I've like drank way too much because the Mountain Dew Game Fuels are 16 ounces. The beer that I had, that guy has a dinosaur name, Dinosaur Waps. Okay. But like I felt like really bloated, like oh god, this sucks. Damn you. So, let's see. Have the beer. I'm like, I'm gonna go watch Wretched Fuck, which Wretched Fuck is like a metal band, and I don't know exactly why I picked that, but I picked it. And boy, they were loud, and they were very fast, and they were just kind of noise. There's a certain point when you're watching like a live music thing where if you're just wailing on your guitar, like up and down, I don't know what they call it, strumming really, really fast, you can't tell what the hell is happening, and it's just like, here's 30 minutes of noise. It was at this point that I realized that, one, I changed shirts from the shirt I was wearing earlier, so I was wearing the Funhouse Pride shirt, and I was wearing my Alien backpack, my Toy Story Alien backpack. It just has aliens all over it. And I looked at it, and I was like, I really stand out in this crowd. Like, it must be weird when the three band members look out and they go, look at all these people, they're here for a metal show. Here's this dude in a rainbow shirt and a cartoon character backpack. Like, that must be really odd. No one said anything, but I had that moment of realization where I was like, huh, this was not a bad choice by any stretch of the imagination. I'm wearing what I want to wear because I like it or support it or whatever. And it was one of those things where I was like, this might look kind of out of place. It was more of a funny thing to me than it was like a judgment on myself or anything. We're getting fucking annihilated. It's not entirely my fault. I know I'm talking a bunch. These teams are just really good. How did that not get him? He was dancing around right by him. So I watched them, and they're fine, but I noticed when I walked out of... They're not for me. Like, it's a band that's just, like... No, like, I'm good. I didn't realize it was going to be that sort of thing. I expected it to be, like, heavy. I knew what I was getting into, but I didn't expect it to be, like, at that level. Hey, see you later, man. Who's shooting me? I don't know why I'm using the battle rifle. Or the carbine. Carbine rifle. Oh, because I love it. That's why. It's a Covenant weapon. Anyway, your Halo knowledge for today. The carbine is a Covenant weapon. Anyhow, this was the game that finished the fight. A little hard to hit headshots. I've mentioned it before, but like, Halo 3 is not my SWAT strong suit. And apparently it's not my team's strong suit either. It felt good. It felt like a nice little... It felt good too. Dope. As I'm walking out of the Wretched Fuck show, I noticed that I have a ringing in my ears a little more persistent than normal. And as I'm looking at my thing, I'm standing there, I'm like, fuck. Like, I hope this goes away soon. And I'm standing on the corner, and I'm looking to see where I'm going next. And I'm going to go see Better Days next at the Big Dipper. We're going back there. So, I go back to... but I realized that started at... So, the first show started at 6. The next one didn't start until 7:15. So, I have like a 40-minute window, 45-minute window. And so I'm like, shoot, what do I do? Fortunately, the distance between the pin and... or in between, I should say, the pin and the Big Dipper is Berserk, where I had seen DM the previous night. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll sit there for like 30 minutes, whatever. I'll grab a drink. That's fine. So now I've made up for, well, actually, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So as I'm standing on the street corner, somebody walks up to me and goes, hey man, like, I love your backpack. And I go, okay, thank you. Now think back to the story I told earlier. That's where typically the conversation ends. Somebody goes, I like X, Y, and Z, I like your shirt, I like your hat, I like your backpack. There was one guy one time that thought I was selling my hat, or was asking if I was like selling my hat. He's like, hey man, nice hat, you selling that? And I'm like, nope, you should probably be looking for a shirt, because you should be wearing a shirt. You're like kind of in the right area, but you're a little bit too high on two things. One, probably the amount of weed you smoked, and two, where you are putting clothes on your body, because it should be a little bit lower. Which that was like just a random day. I was going to a movie and he's like, you're selling your shirt? I'm like, fuck, I'm not selling your hat. God, now I'm all confused. Do I need a new shirt? Probably. So normally the conversation ends, hey, I like your thing. So I immediately go back to looking at the paper. He moves from behind, because he came up from behind. He's like, hey, nice backpack. I just happened to hear him out of the, out of my ear. Because that's where you hear things from. I wanted to say the corner of my eye, but you don't hear with your eyes. Excuse me, sir. You hear things with your ears. Fuck. I did the exact same thing last time. So, he like moves around to the front, and I'm reading the paper, trying to figure out my next plan of action and when things start. And he just goes like, the claw. And like, I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, oh, the claw, like, because from Toy Story. And I'm like, oh, okay, man. Like, okay, I gotcha. And so he like then introduces himself. He's like, hey, I'm Dan or Dave or whatever his name is. I think it starts with a D. What's your name? And I'm like, oh, I'm Sean. He's like, oh, what are you doing? You like, you at Volume? And I'm like, yeah, I'm at Volume. I just went and saw whatever. Or no, I'm like, yes, I'm at Volume. And he goes, oh, cool, you go see any cool bands? And I'm like, yeah, I went and saw whoever, Wretched Fuck or whatever. And they're like, oh, cool. And fortunately for me, because I don't really want to be in this conversation, I he happens to notice someone crossing the street that looks like they could be in a band, and he goes, "Hey man, hey!" Like he yells across the street, "Hey man, are you in a band, man? Are you in a band?" And he's like, "Yeah, like we're in this band." And he's like, "Oh, cool. When you playing?" "Oh, we're playing like we're right over here at the pin or whatever." And he's like, "You guys." The Dave guy is like, you guys have like fucking sweet licks. And I'm like, okay, like cool, like I'm gonna be able to get out of this conversation. I don't have to worry about this anymore. I can just move on and do whatever I want to do. Fuck, he knew I was there. And so and so he starts walking down the street, and he's like, "Hey man, come on, let's go see this band." And didn't, I think, ever look back to see that I did not follow him and instead crossed the street and went up to Berserk. And I was like, alright, well, done with this now. And so, that was the story of the crazy guy who was like, he was nice. I'm sure I sound like an asshole or whatever, being like, this guy's like trying to be nice and like be friendly, and I'm like, I don't want to have this conversation with you. But I'm doing the thing. The thing is like, I'm so hyper focused on what I'm doing at the current second that I just don't feel like I'm very good at conversing with people, even when the opportunity arises. And it's like, I don't really want to like have this conversation. It doesn't matter. So he found a new friend. He went and saw their band, presumably. I'm sure he does not remember who I am at all. Whatever. So I worked my way up to Berserk, and last night when I was there, I hadn't bought a drink when I went and saw DM. And so I was like, well, I'll buy a drink, and I'll, that evens it out at least. Two visits there, one drink, one of them wasn't even planned. Sweet. Like, that's perfect. Perfect plan. So I grabbed this beer, and I accidentally, or cider, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. What am I talking about? I'm talking about volume. I'm getting all over myself here. I'm stumbling over my words because I'm all excited. Because I had such a good time. Someone just died. There is an achievement for, by the way, getting 100 environmental kill medals. And those are very few and far between to get. Where am I? Such a weird spawn point. Go up to Berserk. Grab this beer. It's from One Tree something, not One Tree Hill, but One Tree Breweries or whatever the fuck it is. And I've had their stuff before I jumped off. I just jumped off the fucking map. Damn it. That one's on me. I gotta make up. I gotta make up for it. Okay, camera, stop. Come on. Damn it. There was somebody over there. Fuck. I only have 5 kills, and I have a suicide. And we're down by 1. So I've had this brand, or brewery. I don't know how you talk about alcohol, because I don't drink it very much. So I have this, this beer, and I've had them before, and I didn't like it. It didn't taste very good. Unfortunately, this one, as it turns out, is a pineapple mango. And one of the beers that I had last year that I had a few of, I think like 3 or 4, was a pineapple passion fruit that was very, very good. And this was about as close as I was going to get to that. And so, fuck, I am bad at this game. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Ooh, next kill wins. Can I get it? Is it me? Can I grab the final kill for the win and then get back to the story that I'm trying to tell? Oh, thank God. So I grabbed the beer and I'm talking to the guy. He's like, hey, like, what are you doing? He's like, not like, and like, what are you doing? Oh, by the way, at Berserk, they have free popcorn. Like, I just walked in and I was like, oh, sweet, free popcorn. So I was holding on to this popcorn for most of the DM show and like kind of munching on it. And So back to the normal timeline. I'm talking to the guy. He's like, "Hey, who you hoping to see?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna go see Baloney and whoever and this other band, or in Flee the Century." And he's like, "Okay, cool. Get here early for Flee the Century because everyone wants to see that show. Like, we're probably going to be at capacity for Flee the Century. You need to, like, we'll probably go a few over, but just be here for that show. Like, be here early." And I was like, "Cool, thanks." Conveniently, I had like 3 things planned and then 2 little gaps that I needed to fill. And I had already filled one gap. And the gap that I needed to fill was the band that was supposed to, or the time slot before Flee the Century. So when he gives me this information, it's like, bam, you know what I'll do? I'll go up, I'll go see Baloney, or I'll see Better Days, do whatever, see Baloney, come back down, and I'll just hang out here for the rest of the night. Sweet, my plan is made. So I sit down, I have the beer. We're at 2 drinks for the night so far. Or, yeah, for Saturday night. Do that, go up, go see Better Days, and they do like skate punk stuff of like, hey, if you ever wanted a band that was essentially a Tony Hawk Pro Skater soundtrack, like this is the band for you. But they're Better Days, so BD, Better Days, from, negate that word, Better Days of St. Mary. And if you're an immature like punk rock band like that, you'll notice that the acronym ends up being BDSM. And so they got the entire crowd to cheer for BDSM. And it was really great. And they were fun. They were exactly what I wanted them to be. Like, I just was like, man, I want to go play a Tony Hawk game right now. Thankfully, I just played 2 of them recently, so I don't necessarily have to do that. But they would fit right at home in that soundtrack. Tony Hawk soundtracks. And they were good. They were like silly punk song, fun, whatever. At the very end, somebody started the BDSM chant. Oh, I also bought another drink, another pineapple rum. So that's 3 of those total, I think. I don't even know. But 3 drinks so far that night. And I actually end up running into a person I haven't seen since like middle school. And I think I was starting to get like a little bit of a buzz because I had gone to the bathroom and she was like, "Hey, oh my gosh, it's Sean." And I like didn't put together that like somebody was talking to me. She was like, "Hey, Sean." And I was like, oh, hey, it's you. How's it going? So I like talked to her for a little bit and got the drink, did the show, whatever. And then had to go to the bathroom again. And as I was walking out, I'm like, you know what? I'll go say bye to her. I'm like, "Hey, it was great to see you." She's like, "What's your plan now?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't really have a plan." She's like, "Oh." I'm like, "Well, I'm going to go see Flee the Century, and then I'm going to come back here and see Baloney, and then I'm going to go see Flee the Century." And I was like, man, that one, the Flee the Century show for me is probably going to be a little bit tipsy, and a little bit tipsy is going to end up being a little bit of an understatement on my part. It is also 42-13, which is absurd. 42-14, 15. So I work my way back down to the pin for some reason. I can't remember why. 50-15. Wow. That is an incredible deficit. I need to start working on speeding this story up here. I end up going back down to the pin for some reason. I can't remember why. Lower species? I don't remember. Because I needed... Let's see. Because I went down there. Oh, because I didn't really want to watch The Spirit of the Beehive. But I needed to be back for Baloney at like 9:15. So I guess I just walked down to the pin for whatever reason. Hung out there. Ate another slice of pizza. No ranch. So 2 slices of pizza. No ranch spillage. The cards were stacked a little bit, in my favor. Considering they didn't even give me any ranch to spill. Whatever. Grab another volume drink. So that's 4 drinks for Saturday. This one's a little bit better because it's more apple-y and not sour, which is super nice. So I drink that, have the pizza. Somebody comes up to me and is like, "Hey, Carl or whatever the hell, and they're like, hey, whatever, man. And I like look up and they're like, oh shit, like, sorry, you look like somebody else. I'm like, hey, like, whatever, no big deal. Weirdly enough, I forgot to add this part of it, but the guy who had talked to me about the Toy Story backpack, or my Toy Story backpack, not my whatever, Toy Story backpack, he thought I looked like somebody else too. So it was this weird coincidence of twice in one day someone's like, oh, you look like this other person. I'm like, nope, man, just me, just normal regular Sean, hanging out, doing stuff, cool. So then I'm like, okay, well, I'll move back up to back up to the Big Dipper to go see Bologna. I don't know why I went back to the pin. Like, I can't remember why I went back down that way, because it doesn't make any sense, but I don't have an explanation for it. So it's like, okay, whatever. It's 10-0, by the way. Nope. Oh, I was the first death. My bad, team. I end up going, as I'm working my way back up to the Big Dipper, I notice a sign for a, like, cider tasting room. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, I like ciders. Maybe they'll have something interesting or weird I can try. And I immediately don't fit in because I'm wearing, like a Pride, well, I'm wearing a Pride shirt. I'm wearing a shirt with a big rainbow on it and a cartoon backpack. I'm a little bit drunk, and I feel like I just stand out with this particular, like, in this particular area. Just, there's like maybe it's just my own personal thought process of, like, a tasting room seems like kind of a specialty place to go and not for some just random dude to walk into. But they had, like, had the chalkboard outside, and I'm like, oh, cool, like, I'll go in here. And so I'm looking, and he's like, anything interested in you? And I'm like, oh, can you tell me the difference between these two beers? Because one of them has an extra descriptor word in it for some reason. I can't remember what it is. And he's like, honestly, like, I can't, I haven't had these in a while. And I was like, okay, cool. So I grab whichever one I grab. I think I grabbed the one with the greener label, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember. Shocking. Oh, excuse you. Did you dirty? Oh, gross. So there are, like, 4 other customers in there, and I'm doing whatever. I'm making, like, some Instagram story post, again, available on Instagram.com/SeanSourceRex. And I'm hanging out, I'm looking at my phone, doing whatever. The couple that's sitting at the bar having a conversation with the owner of the place, presumably, or the employee at least, they pick up and they leave. They're going to do whatever. It doesn't matter what they're doing. They go up to leave. He tries to initiate a conversation with me, and, like, I'm interested in what he's saying. Like, he's talking about how the people that made that beer have they've been in the building. They're in France. The selectors of the alcohol or the ciders that go in their fridge or, like, are on tap, like, they went over to France and they went in and they'd have, like, a different kettling process or something to that effect. It's a word that starts with a K, and I think it's like a ketting or something like that. And he goes, oh, like, they have a different kettling process or ketting process. And I think that's my clue to, like, continue, like, follow up on that point and ask, like, what's the difference? But seeing as how I don't remember what the word is, I don't know what the hell that would even mean. So I just kind of, like, let it go. And he's like, okay, well, not okay, but he just continues his story. He's like, oh, they were in here, they gave, like, a PowerPoint. And I was like, oh, they gave like a PowerPoint? He's like, yeah, we do this. And then he mentions the ketting process again, and I don't pick up on it because I don't know what it is. And I think that is the point where he looked at me and he went, I'm not going to get anywhere with you. And he stopped talking to me, and he just went back in the back, got went back in the back, and he just came out and sat on his phone for the rest of the time I was there, because clearly he wasn't getting any further in that conversation than that point right there with me. And it's so funny to me. like he's like, hey, here's this guy. He probably knows about ciders. He's wearing a backpack. Hey, whatever. No big deal. Whatever. Didn't pick up all the 2 clues. Fuck it. Not even like a third, not like 3 strikes shot. Like 2 strikes. I don't care. I don't even want to throw the ball again. Excuse me. So I finished up the drink. It's pretty good. I don't know. I didn't have to drink it there, but I also wasn't going to be lugging around a beer. I don't know. There was a very shocking lack of thought put into doing that. So then I go from there. I make some dumb post about jumping like a set of stairs. It's like 5 or 6 stairs. And I genuinely thought about jumping the stairs, but I was like, I'm all by myself. And I really don't want to like have something really bad happen, because I know that like technically I'm like drunk in public. Technically, like this is going to cause way more problems than it ever should. So just don't do it. Just make your funny post. I should have followed it up with like a different post that was like, didn't make it and the camera was all like tilted weird on some steps or something like that. But I didn't think that far ahead. I thought I came up with that joke hours later. Double kill. I love the double kill sound in this game. It sounds so good. It sounds so grindhouse. Oh yeah. So I work my way back to the Big Dipper. At this point, I have had 1, 2, 3. I think that's 5. The beer I had there was 5. But I have had at least 1 slice of pizza, and I had some water on me. I had a... Shit. Come here, you. Oh, damn it. And I had like a smart water on me. So like I went down prepared with this level of preparedness, which is a nice improvement. Like the thing that was so fun about the previous year was that I was having a good time, but I was like in control. I was right on the edge, but I was like, no, I'm good where I'm at. I don't need to go any further down this path. Like I'm fine. And that was about the line that I want to be at, because I actually quite like I like being in control of myself. I have enough problems being an idiot, sober, saying some dumb shit, that I don't need to make it worse with other, or make it worse by consuming alcohol. And so I've had 5 drinks, feeling pretty good. Go back up to the Big Dipper, order another pineapple rum. At this point, I think the 2 ladies that work there know me, and they know that I like pineapple rum. Because I think... Oh, the guy that was going to check my ID was like, no, you're good. I remember you from last night. And then I think one of the ladies had asked me, were you in here last night? And I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't know why I said yeah, whatever. I was like, yeah, I was in here last night. So then, thanks, man. Really appreciate you giving me that sweet, sweet metal. Darn, couldn't get that one. Anyway, boy, I gotta really hurry this story up. We're almost done now. The next band I'm going to see is Baloney. I saw them last year. I'm wearing their shirt that I picked up drunkenly last year. I felt really bad because I was like, he had to listen to me drunkenly ask about a shirt and then try and pull $10 out so that I could give him money for the shirt. And then I was actually going to get a different shirt, but the guy before me got it, or asked for it before I did, and I was like, crap, well, I guess I'll just get a t-shirt. Actually, I really like the shirt. And they played, and they're very good. They've added 2 members since last time, and I like their debut album. I think it's a lot of fun. But, I don't know, they played, and I knew some of the songs, which was cool, and had a good time. And so, now it's time for me to leave Big Dipper. At this point, we're 6 drinks in. Okay. Damn it. 6 drinks in. I'm going to work my way back to Berserk, and I'm just going to hang out. The plan is I'm going to go in, I'm going to stand in the front, and I'm going to just hang out until Flee the Century gets there. What I don't account for is restroom using this. I needed to use the restroom. At this point, I also switched shirts to a Pacific Northwest tank top, which is going to end up coming in handy in a little bit because it's going to get very warm in Berserk. And it was actually pretty warm in the Big Dipper as well. So I went in, I changed my shirt. I actually changed my shirt before the Bologna show. It doesn't matter. So I'm wearing a tank top. I worked my way down to Berserk. I watched the band, and I don't know who they are, so I actually need to look at it. Bandit Train, I think. Yeah, that makes sense. Bandit Train. I watched Bandit Train. They're very good. I like them a lot. It's just two dudes. It's one guy who plays guitar. It's one guy on a pair of drums, and then it has some electronic backing music. I'm just going to double check. Bandit Train, playing for a decade. Irresistible danceable chiptune inspired electronica, which sounds like your Nintendo went to a rave. Okay, that's a good description. That is what it is. It was very good though. 8 and 6, 3 assists. So they're really good. I have another drink there, so that's at 7. Two pineapple rums. The other drink, the volume. The other drink, 6. That's number 7, I think, on that night. It's really bad that I can't remember. But there's a pretty long gap between the sets. And remember when I was like, hey, I talked to the guy. They're going to be at capacity. After the Bandit Train is done, I'm like, man, I'd really like to go outside and grab some water, get some fresh air, whatever. Hey, me, in my head, needed to be like, no, just get some water, you'll cool down eventually, just let your body adjust to the temperature, go outside, go around the corner, use the restroom, and stay in the building. The reason this is important is because as I walked out, I noticed there's a line. As soon as I stepped outside of the building, I stood there and I was like, fuck. I just fucked myself so hard. It's the one band I want to see, or, well, one of two. I wanted to see Bologna a lot. It is the band that you most want to see, and you just totally goofed yourself, like, you idiot. And so I'm standing in line. I'm like, it'll be fine. Like, you gotta be patient. There's probably 30 or 40 minutes or so before they're gonna play anyway. Like, you'll be fine. You'll get in a minute. Thankfully, the guy at the door was very nice, and he remembered me from not only the previous night, but when I was in there earlier. And he's like, hey, you're good, I know. And so I very drunkenly, I'm like, hey, do you know where the bathrooms are? And he's like, yeah, they're over there in that door marked restrooms. And I'm like, oh, okay, thanks, man. Like, really appreciate it. And I like tap him on the shoulder. And then at some point between entering the door and getting to the bathroom, I jumped for some reason. It landed and like very lightly hyperly extended my knee, which sounds dramatic, but like I jumped and landed weird and it just bent the wrong way. That's all I really mean. And so I injured myself completely in the dumbest way possible. I mean, it's not really an injury, but I was like, whatever. So I went to the bathroom, and it's just the most ridiculously dumb thing. It was like, yeah, I jumped for no reason outside of the venue. There was no music playing. I was just trying to go to the bathroom to use the restroom, and I pushed my knee back where it shouldn't have gone, or where it didn't need to go. I'm like, all right, cool. Go to the bathroom, make another decision. I'm like, cool, you know what sounds good? Why not have like a 9th drink or whatever the fuck number I'm up to? I think it's 8, actually. So I'm going to grab another one of those little pineapple drinks. It's going to be great. Oh boy. I start getting immediately like nervous that I'm not going to be able to get a spot in the front. Unfortunately, I am a little bit short. I'm only about 5'3", so I really need to be close in order to see the bands effectively, which it happens. For the most part, I'm pretty lucky when it comes to musical or attending concerts, I guess I should say, musical performances. I usually put myself in a position where I can see really well, or I'm able to just be patient enough to either move to the front or to just kind of slither my way through. There have been a couple of times where I've like, you know what, I'll just go stand in the back. The Arctic Monkeys show was one of them, where I was like, I can't see, and it's crowded, and I hate this. I also majorly pick smaller venues and bands to go see, so it's not like the worst thing in the world. It's not the most difficult thing in the world, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm in the line. It is taking a... Oh, shit. Sorry, dudes. I wonder if they saw me through that. It's taking a very long time to get to the front. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, I need to either, like, just get out of line and say, like, no big deal, or be patient. Like, I can't be dancing around going, like, ooh. I'm, like, looking around. At one point, I almost slipped and fell. The guy behind me was, like, kind of making a joke, but I think he was kind of irritated because I, like, bent out of line. He's like, hey, you're out of spot. I guess you can't go back in. I went back in anyway. And then got to the front, ordered one last drink. And then very quickly grabbed the change that they gave me, grabbed the drink, and hustled my bustle up to the front. I ended up in the second row initially, right before they started, and holy shit, I fucking love watching them play live. They're so good. They're like a lot of fun. They throw out a bunch of stuff. They threw out, oh, here, it's right here. They threw out this little white foam thing that lights up, and it still works. You can't see it very well because of the light. Well, you can see the darker colors, but they threw this out, and it does like 3 different settings. And so I spent a lot of the time like doing this with my hand, like moving it back and forth. And I just started like yelling because I know most of their songs like pretty well. I started yelling, and like there's like a ton of people there. It's awesome. Boy, am I glad that I switched shirts, because like it's very hot and very like packed in, and it's like real sweaty, and it's really fun. And after like the first couple of songs, this girl behind me like taps on my shoulder, and she's like, oh my gosh, do you know all the words? And I'm like, well, not really. Sometimes like I'm just yelling. And she's like, oh, like I can't tell if it's you or the speaker or you. And initially, like in my like tipsy or drunken state of mind, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like she's not mad at me. And then I was thinking about it later, and I was like, fuck, she might have been mad at me because I may have ruined her experience, which I hope I didn't do. But I also told that story to someone, and they were like, oh my god, Sean, she was flirting with you. And I was like, there's no way she was flirting with me. That doesn't make any sense. That's not possible. I never assumed that anyone was flirting with me. If somebody could hold up a sign that's like, oh my god, Sean, we should totally date, that would be super awesome. And I would look at them, and I'd shake their hand. I'm like, man, I hope Sean realizes how cool you are. And I would walk away not having any idea that it was for me. And so like, that's just how oblivious I am. At one point, I also hear somebody say, I'm just 200 pounds of sweat. Another person, or maybe the same person, says, boy, I wish I could take my shirt off. And I'm just happen to be looking in that direction for whatever reason. I see like a woman lift up her shirt, but she's like wearing a bra. Lift up a shirt. She's still wearing a bra. And I hope, because I noticed it, and I hope I didn't stare, but I don't know. Because when, it's a weird thing, I've never really been that drunk before, but I noticed that it seems like your eyes and your ears are off. Like I'm seeing things before I'm hearing them, so it's like the audio. No, I'm hearing things before I see them, and so the audio aspect of it takes my eyes like a second to catch up to. And I really hope I didn't stare. And if I did, like I feel really bad because it wasn't intentional. I just happened to be looking in that direction. It was awful. Oh god, I feel really dumb for even telling that story. But so they play a song. The girl who's standing immediately in front of me is like, okay, they played my favorite song, see you later, and leaves. And so I just take her spot, which was awesome because they hadn't played my favorite song, which was the Megalodon song. And I think they played that second to last. It may have even been next or 2 songs after she left, and she left with like 3 or 4 to go. So I started going like really hard at it. I'm like, yeah, moving around, jumping around, doing all that stuff. And at one point, I choked on the beer that I was drinking. Another time, I didn't swallow correctly and spilled a bunch all over myself, which was cool. That was awesome. And at some point, I decided that it would be a good idea for me to put my backpack on the ground. But as I came to find out later, they had handed some glasses of water to the keyboard player, and 3 of them got tipped over, and 2 of the glasses that got tipped over got broken. And so I unknowingly just put my bag in like a bunch of water, and I was like, fuck. Like, I was really bummed when I got out, because I was like, well, I don't want it to be covered in beer, because I don't want that. Like, water's fine. But so I was like, going, and the last year when I had seen them, I had to hold on to an amp to keep my balance, because I'd had, quite a bit. This year I had more, and I ended up accidentally tipping, landing my hands on his keyboard and tipping the keyboard off of the other side. And I tried to get his attention 3 times, and I eventually did. And I'm like, I am so sorry. That's on me. And he's like, you're fine. It's cool. We're it's all good. Whatever. So I felt good about that, but I really went for the last song, my favorite song, or the second to last song, which was my favorite song. And there we go. Doubles. Hell yeah. And so I get the show gets done. I keep the thing because I think it's just a fun thing to have. They always have a bunch of alien stuff on stage. Last year they had someone dressed in an alien onesie. This year they didn't have that person. That I don't think I didn't see them, or I don't remember seeing them. Shocking. And I don't know, they're just so much fun. They're so freaking fun. And it's cool that they do volume every year. I'll go to volume every single year as long as they're there. I mean, I'll still try and go even if they aren't playing. That would be a huge bummer to me. Anyway, I could have sworn I saw somebody. Could have sworn. So the show ends, and I'm all by myself. So I'm trying to recover, keep my balance. I also needed to install a Lyft app at some point, early, preferably, as my mom said, before I've had anything to drink. And I did that in the middle, so I was fine. I got my credit card information and my home address all set, so we're all good. And so I'm trying to cool down, settle down. And at some point I end up doing a weird pose on the sidewalk where I just lay on the sidewalk, but I do the I do the weird pose where you lay on your one elbow and then you're on your side and you have your leg on your knee and you're you look like you're making a sexy pose, and I'm doing that on a sidewalk just all by myself, just hanging out. I'm all right, cool, man, whatever. So I order a Lyft. It's 3 minutes away, and so I'm all right, cool. I'll keep it in mind. I'll make sure that I'm paying attention. You get in the Lyft. He's like, hey, are you ride for Sean? Which I really appreciate. That's very nice. I'm like, yeah, cool. I hop in, and I'm talking to him, doing whatever, and he's telling me this story about. I asked him if, thank you. I asked him if he had ever had anyone vomit in his car before, and he's like, no, thankfully, I haven't had anyone vomit in my car, but it has come close. It's been a little. There was one guy that was in my car that he oh god, what was it? He said he told the driver it was him and 2 friends. And he told the guy, he's like, hey, I'm going to need to hurl soon. I'll let you know when we need to pull over. And at some point, not much longer. What the fuck am I trying to say? It wasn't much longer before he's like, hey, I need to go hurl. And he went out, he threw up twice, a hot dog that had not gone down and been digested at all. So all you heard was splat, splat. He turns around and he gives a double thumbs up or something. He's like, yeah, man, rally home. And then they went home and it was all good. And Got home, laid down. I sent a Snapchat to Ashley because my voice was like very ragged, and it still is now because I haven't really given it much of a break. Lay down. It's like 1 o'clock, 1:10 in the morning, and I don't sleep very well, and I wake up at like 6:30. I'm like, fuck, like, God, I always get up early. Like, I always wake up so early in the morning, and it sucks when it's like, when either like I don't feel well, or I had like a really fun night or a late night, and my body is like, it's 6:30, like, time to get up. So I get up, I watch like a couple of videos, and then I fall asleep from like 9 o'clock to 9 or 10 to like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I don't know if I have ever woken up that late on my own, like on my own schedule. Like sometimes like I would, because I worked swing shift at McDonald's or whatever. So it's like I didn't go home till 4 in the morning, and obviously then I'm not waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm waking up at like noon to go back in at 4. And so I wake up, I go downstairs, doing whatever. My brother's like, oh, you're alive. And I'm like, yeah, I'm alive. He's like, every time you were posting a snap, I got more and more worried, because it just kept being drinks. Like, it wasn't like, oh, here's this cool video of a band or whatever. No, it's just like, here's a picture of a drink. Here's a picture of a drink. Here's some dumb photo. Here's a picture of a drink. And I was like, yeah, like I was fine. God. I was like, oh boy, I didn't realize it looked like that. So, but it was good. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, I feel like there was another little piece to that story, but I can't remember what it is. I made it into like a highlight on my fuck. Made it into a highlight on my Instagram, so you can actually look at both volume and volume 2. Volume 2 would be the most recent one. And yeah, I had a really great time. Most of the bands I saw were pretty good. I liked Bologna, O Rose, and then number 1 would be Fleet of Century the most. I've been listening to the O Rose album a bunch since I went back to work. And yeah. God damn it. Fuck. Wasn't exactly how yeah. Fuck you. Alright, well, so that's my story about Volume. We'll finish this game out real quick. It's probably not going to last much longer, considering that it's 23-8. So, yeah, I've been meaning to tell that story for a while. I got caught up in E3 predictions. Yeah, and then I'm going to go see Dark Phoenix tonight, which I'm excited for. I've talked about it before on Weekend Review, but I like I like the X-Men movies more than most people. I don't like the Marvel movies as much as other people. And yeah, I'm excited to go see it. I am a little worried that it's not doing very well. I try to avoid critical reviews before I go see a movie, because I don't want anything to get put into my head that I don't want to carry around a like phrase or plot point or anything like that that isn't of my own. Like, I want to try and go in as clean of an experience as possible, and unfortunately it only has like a 24% on Rotten Tomatoes, which like really sucks. I don't know, I think people are like a lot harsher on the X-Men movies than they really need to be, but I'm looking forward to it. My biggest worry is that with the way they set up this whole story, the Dark Phoenix storyline is one of the most popular X-Men storylines like of all time. They've already done it, and they didn't do it very well in The Last Stand. And even when they rebooted or soft rebooted the X-Men franchise, they still picked a weird set of characters. The keys to this movie are going to be Jean Grey and Cyclops. They just introduced these characters in like the last movie-ish. Stop, sir. So I don't know if we have enough time with them. X-Men Apocalypse is also a very weird movie. It is very, very inside baseball. They are just standing in the corner, and we can't get them. So I think this movie's going to hinge on characters that I don't know if people are going to care enough about. I don't know, like, fuck off. God damn it. I hate this map. That is a shit way to lose. Lose 50 to 26. They were very lopsided games today. But, so, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. There'll be a review on Tuesday's episode, a weekend review. It'll be that. Maybe The Dead Don't Die. It might get cut. And then Toy Story 2. So, but I'll be back tomorrow with another stream, another exciting stream here on twitch.tv/ShaunosaurusRex. 7 and 17, 1 and 14, dope. 23 and 4, 14 and 1. Fuck. That sucks. What is that? 37 and 5. They did all the work and got the win. Good for them. Good for them. Thankfully, that game ended right on time. Anyway, tomorrow, stream 6:30. Normal time. So 23 hours and 45 minutes from now. There will be another stream. I don't know what I'm going to play yet. I have a couple of games that I'm looking at, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll see if anything piques my interest tomorrow. So 6:30 tomorrow, 11 a.m. on Saturday, because I have a family thing to go do. And then I don't know about Sunday. I might try and put the stream in between the Microsoft conference and the Bethesda conference. So I need to try and find a game that I can complete in roughly 11 hours. That sounds right. 3 tomorrow, 3, 5, yeah, 11. So that stream will be at 2:30 or 3, somewhere in there, to like 6 to 6:30, somewhere in there. I don't know. And then I'll do a special E3 wrap-up stream on Tuesday. And then we'll get back to the normal stream schedule. I have a cool game planned for next week in anticipation of Men in Black. I may have just spoiled the game. I wasn't going to do that. But, whatever. Doesn't matter. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you enjoyed the story. I had fun telling it. It's a weird way to say it, but I love talking about Volume because it's a lot of fun. And I think it's a good time. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest, you should go. If you aren't, you should come to the Pacific Northwest and then go. Cool. Cool. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, 6:30. Friday, 6:30. What did they say it 3 times? They say if you say it 3 times, people will remember. Friday, 6:30. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.